Hi, my name's Beth Callahan. I'm the editor of the Warren County Post, and today I have with us Adam Mathew. He is our state rep, and he covers Lebanon and Mason. And Adam, thank you for coming.
Absolutely. It's so great to be back speaking with you today and being here at the Warren County Career Center. It's a gem of our county. I'm glad to be here.
So tell me a little bit about yourself. I think you started off as an engineer.
I did. So I interned at Procter& and Gamble doing baby care, working on diapers, and
Those are important.
they are very important. And then after graduation, did a brief stint as a civilian for the Navy Nuclear Propulsion Program. Different type of technology, but they still clean up messes. And after that, I went back to law school, where I wanted to become an intellectual property attorney, doing patent, copyright, and trademark. Again, taking brand new ideas, being at the cutting edge of technology, and really solving problems and helping people achieve the American dream in a way that promotes progress and technology.
And were you living in Lebanon at the time, or did you move from someplace else?
Sure. So I grew up in the Mason area, went to St. Susanna for grade school, then went to high school, went out to Indiana for engineering for undergrad and law school. Came back to Warren County. My first job was split between Dayton and Cincinnati for a large law firm. And I got my head on a swivel, rented at a place in Springboro, fell in love with Lebanon. There's a wonderful church, St. Francis of Sales, that we were going to, and actually got roped into an early morning, late night prayer. They have 24/7 prayer in the church, and I was assigned from 2 to 3 in the morning. So that commute from Springboro to Lebanon got old really quickly, so we've found a place in Lebanon to move, and we've been there ever since, and I think that was 2014 until now.
So what made you get involved with politics? Because before you were the state rep, you were a councilman, correct?
Yes. So I want Ohio to be a place where my kids can grow up to be virtuous and be successful. And I had planned on just doing that as a good husband, good father. And I saw that how small regulations, even if well-intended, can hamper the American dream, hamper things for our businesses and families. I was representing a few members in Lebanon, some businesses, and they came to me with issues on zoning. There was a small thing where there could be no signage on the back of the buildings, even though it was mandated that you had parking in the rear. I looked at that. That was what the law actually said. And we went to council to say, hey, can you fix this? It didn't move as quickly as we wanted, so I ran for council and won. And then we fixed it. So now there's great, nice signs in the backs behind Village Ice Cream Parlor, Wits, and all of those, so that instead of guessing what door you're going to, you can actually park and walk in and frequent our businesses and support our community. So that was how I first put my name out on a yard sign for general elected office.
So then, how did you decide to go from council to state rep?
Sure. So on council, you normally are dealing with things like zoning or taxes. And Lebanon has been a beacon of conservatism and success here, and that's why we continue to grow and attract businesses. However, we saw with the government shutdowns of 2020 how much the state has an impact on us trying to live our lives here. Growing up in Mason and serving in Lebanon, I saw how much we needed to take what works in Warren County and promote and protect that in Columbus. There's a reason that Warren County's grown by 14% since the last census, and there's a reason that our voice needs to be heard up there. We have tourism and agriculture here, and the government shutdowns of 2020 needed to have someone that zealously represents our way of life, because things don't work if Kings Island is closed. Things don't work if you can't go to the Golden Lamb or Two Cities Pizza or frequent your parades. And so that's what gave me the drive to take our voice of what works in Warren County up to Columbus.
Now, this was your first year.
Yes.
This is pretty impressive to do a House bill, because I was looking at the first House bill that's ever introduced always starts with a 1.
Yes.
I go to look, House Bill 1. You are the one that proposed it. That's, impressive. How did you decide to do that? Did you even know what you were doing?
Sure. There's been a lot of on-the-job learning, and I'm honored to be running House Bill 1. House Bill 1 is the bill to get Ohio to a flat income tax, to join the dozens of states that are at zero or flat income taxes.
What does that actually mean?
So that means right now in Ohio, if you make more money, they tax you not just more raw dollars, but increase the amount and percentage of dollars that you get taxed on as you go up the income chain. And it's not just the super rich that are being taxed at this rate. The highest rate in Ohio is at 3.99%. That's above many of our neighbors of Indiana, Kentucky, Pennsylvania. And it starts at $114,000, which if you have dual income, there's many people graduating here from the Warren County Career Center that are going to be making that very quickly, right out the gate. And so we are trying to bump it down to 2.75 flat for everybody. Anyone that's currently paying income taxes above the poverty threshold that we're saying pays 2.75. It doesn't matter if you're making 50,000, 100,000, or whatever. It's 2.75 of your income tax. That makes it costs less to collect that type of money, and every time that we've cut the top rate, we've actually increased revenue because there's more economic activity, people more moving and staying in Ohio.
Now that's just for the state income tax, right?
Yes.
It's not, because we still have city income taxes.
We'd still have the city income taxes, and just most of those are flat as well, and then we can't work on the federal either. But hopefully we encourage them to move to a flat tax as well.
Yes, I hope
Yeah.
so too. Then so as a state rep,
Yes.
you make laws or you propose legislation. Is that basically what your job is?
Yes.
And
We propose legislation as well as help with constituent services. So we give proclamations for good things that happen here, whether you're winning state as a wrestler in high school, or ribbon cutting, bringing new businesses here. We've had businesses that had issues with state insurance, and so we help them as well. And we are really working to do those types of constituent services as necessary to help people cut through the bureaucracy that is created in Ohio. And as you said, the other part of what we do is propose legislation, move it through the House, move it through the Senate, and hopefully get it signed by the governor. And we're working through that.
okay, and then you've also done a couple other bills.
Yes.
Is there the one bill I love? I think it's House Bill 27.
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about that
Sure.
one?
House Bill 27, it's the Higher Education Return on Investment Act. And what it does is creates a simple one-page disclosure that when you go to any of our state institutions of learning, whether it's community colleges, tech centers, or our 14 great universities, you get a one-page form that says this is what your actual costs are, including all those hidden fees. This is the financial aid you have, as well as any tricks that they may have on, well, you have to work 20 hours of community service or live on campus. That's put in front of you. If you take your federal loans, how much your monthly loan payment's going to be, as well as with whatever information's available, what your expected 25-75 income range is going to be, so that you can make a good informed decision of how should I be spending the next 2-4 years, and will this benefit me and society? And I think we've had our first hearing on that. We have our next hearing on it next week. It's going very well, and we hope that we move that forward.
Now, are there any other bills that are kind of like hit you in the heart that you would like to see? I
Sure.
know there's one with something about babies. What was that?
Yeah, the baby boxes.
Yeah.
So Ohio is a safe haven state where any hospital, fire department, police station, if a mother is in a dire situation and wants to surrender a baby with no penalty, up to a certain age she can, and then that child will be put in child services. But there are some women that do not want to do that because they want it to be anonymous. And we have a good number of baby boxes or incubators in Ohio that have been funded, have been donated, and we're trying to make it so that the Department of Health rules are more in line with what's actually necessary rather than being too strict to make them be able to function. We see out every month out of Indiana a baby that's been relinquished and saved this way. Many times it's the firemen themselves that then adopt the children. And so we are working with that, and I'm working with Representative Gene Schmidt to continue that, to support those baby boxes.
And then is there another tax bill that you're proposing? Something
Yes.
What's that one?
So I have one. It's with Representative Santucci to get rid of the marriage penalty on 529s and ABLE accounts. So in Ohio, you can give every year $4,000 to either a 529 for education savings account or ABLE accounts, which are able to support those with developmental disabilities to have income without losing their access to Medicaid or other types of support. However, if you get married, you can also, and file jointly, you can also only give $4,000 to those same accounts. So we disincentivize people to file jointly. And so if you're married, file jointly, we're just changing it to say you can give $8,000, which makes it fair across the board and helps those that are saving for higher education in the future, as well as those that are taking care of those with developmental disabilities. And that one is in the heart. That I think we should help.
Well, thank you so much for coming. We're going to do something special since we're here at the Warren County Career Center. You've been so kind to say yes, you would sit down and do
Absolutely.
an interview, and we're going to have Blake Heil step in, and he's going to take my seat, and he's going to ask you some questions. And
Fantastic.
Thank you so much.
Oh, it's a pleasure. I'm glad to support the Warren County Career Center. Glad to be here with you and to help communicate all the good things we're doing in Columbus and make sure that everyone hears what we're doing in Warren County. We're trying to protect and promote it up there.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, I'm Blake Heil. I'm a junior at the Warren County Career Center in the Digital Media Arts program, and I'm here joined by State Rep Adam Mathews. Thank you for joining me.
Glad to be here. Thank you so much, Blake, and I'm excited to be here at the Warren County Career Center.
So my first question for you is, what made you decide to work in politics?
Sure. I'd always kind of dabbled in politics in high school and college, but what really got me invigorated and encouraged to run for Lebanon City Council was the small tax and regulation issues that, while potentially good, well-intentioned, get in the way of our communities and families thriving. There was a small regulation in our downtown that banned any types of signs on the back of buildings, even though you have to park in the rear. And working with our local Main Street organizations and getting attention to that, I went to council, tried to fix it, and it didn't get fixed as quickly as I'd liked and as we needed it to for our businesses to survive. So I ran for council and won, and then we fixed it. And it's been great to have those small wins to build on the great successes that we have in Lebanon to be the center of Warren County that continues to grow.
Mm-hmm. And so the next thing I'd like to ask you is, what advice would you give to a student who is interested in pursuing politics as a career?
Sure. Reading news is important and being very deliberate on what type of news sources that you're receiving. However, getting involved and having firsthand experience in your community not only builds the relationships, but also sees what's currently being done to solve the problems that you find. Getting involved on local parks and rec boards, your local chamber of commerce, your church or otherwise, has a great impact for not only getting your name out there, but seeing what types of issues the community really cares about and how government, if it should at all, get involved in that solution.
Mm-hmm. So next thing I have is, how would you like politics to progress in the future on a state and local level?
Sure. I'd like it to become more congenial, more focused on what we actually want to accomplish. There's a lot of drama. There's a lot of fighting and anger and pettiness that's out there in politics, and that's not necessary. If we have the same type of goals in mind of businesses growing, families thriving, and children able to grow up in a way that they can be virtuous and have a strong future, I think a lot can be done together. to get rid of that acrimony, get rid of that antagonism that is often in politics. However, we also have to be very clear on our principles. There are some things that are non-negotiable, and if we say why we believe these things and do it in a way that articulates why we believe this is good and leads to human flourishing, I think that'd go a long way to get into a politics that's better for everyone.
Mm-hmm. And so next, what are your opinion on career tech schools like the Warren County Career Center?
I'm so grateful for the Warren County Career Center, other tech schools throughout Ohio, and glad that the state supports them. Having another opportunity for high school students, those after high school and those looking at second careers, to have firsthand experiences, having the experts in their neighborhoods and in their communities to see what other opportunities there are for them to take their talents, improve them, and help society, as well as provide for them and their families, is something that needs to be treasured and supported.
Okay. In what ways would you like to drive education towards career readiness in non-career tech schools?
Sure. Right now, I'm working on House Bill 27, which increases transparency for all state institutions of higher learning, so from our universities on down. And what it does is shows this is what the actual cost is, the opportunity cost, as well as what type of incomes you'll expect to make depending on what type of majors or school you're going to. And being able to give 16, 17, 18-year-olds and their families that type of information should set them up for success and give them a great view in what their future could look like, whether that's at tech school or otherwise.
Is there any other ways you'd like to improve education?
Sure. I would love to have more parental involvement to support that inclusiveness. Parents have the first right and responsibility to educate their children, and giving them the ability and support to do that, as well as integrating them in with the schools as the schools supplement that first right and responsibility, would be a great way for